Pitch describes how high or low a sound is played, usually described as a frequency. A note is a visual representation of a pitch. A melody is created when pitches are played in succession. Harmony is when two or more pitches are played at the same time. Three or more creates chords. Dynamics is a volume of sound. It is how loud or soft a pitch is played. We tend to use the Italian terms. Forte is loud, piano is soft, mezzo is medium. Texture is the density of a piece. There are three textures. Monophonic is a musical texture involving just a single melodic line. Homophonic involves only one melody of real interest combined with chords being the accompaniment. Polyphonic is a musical texture in which two or more melodic lines are played simultaneously. Duration is the length of time a pitch is held. The different lengths of time pitches are played and held generates rhythm. Tempo is how fast or slow a piece is being played. The staff. The staff consists of 5 parallel lines that indicate the pitch. And remember, the pitch is the highness and lowness of sounds. The lines and spaces are numbered from the lowest to the highest. So the lowest pitches are near the bottom of the staff, and the higher pitches are near the top of the staff. The bass clef looks kind of like a fancy F. So the line between the two dots is the note F. The other notes on the lines are G, B, D, F, and A. A good way of remembering this is using the phrase, "Good boys do fine always." The spaces of the notes on the bass clef are A, C, E, and G. They also can be remembered by a phrase, "All cows eat grass." The treble clef it looks like a fancy G. The spiral circles around the second line, which is the note G. The other notes on the lines are E, G, B, D, and F. You can also use a phrase for this one, empty garbage before Dad flips. The notes on the spaces are fairly easy to remember. They spell the word face, so the notes are F, A, C, and E. I tell my class to use 3x5 cards to make flashcards of the notes. So on one side, draw a treble clef or a bass clef staff with a note, and on the other side, write what the note letter is. And make flashcards for all the notes you've learned today. So that way you can memorize them and instantly recall them without thinking. In the last video, I taught about the notes on the staff. In this video, I will teach you about the notes beyond the staff. Here is the note E. The note below it, under the staff, is the note D. So, from E to D, you arrive at middle C. Middle C is a note right in the middle of both the treble and bass clef. Here is the note A. The note above it, on top of the bass staff, is the note B. So from A to B, you arrive again at middle C. Here is middle C between the treble and bass clef, and uses a ledger line. Ledger lines are used when pitches go beyond the limits of the staff. Here is the note F. The note above it, on top of the treble staff, is the note G. From F, using ledger lines, we arrive at the note C, 2 ledger lines above the treble staff. Here is the note G. The note below it, under the staff, is the note F. From G, using ledger lines, we arrive at the note C, 2 ledger lines below the bass staff. These are all the note C in different octaves. These are the notes you have learned so far. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The smallest distance between 2 notes is a half step. Let us use a keyboard to demonstrate this. If you are not familiar with the notes on the keyboard, let me name them for you. The white key on the left of the 2 black keys is the note C, and then go up the alphabet. When you arrive at the letter G, you start again at the beginning of the alphabet to the letter A. Most notes involve a black key. 2 white keys next to each other with a black key between them is a whole step. There are 2 exceptions, which are the note E and F, and the notes B and C. Since there is not a black key between those notes, the distance between those notes are also half steps. The black keys are usually named for the white keys using a symbol called an accidental. You can notate the black key next to the white key by adding a sharp sign in front of the note. This is a sharp sign. The symbol is used in musical notation to raise the pitch of a note by a half step. Raising the pitch C will make it a C sharp. To play the note C sharp, you play the black key to the right of the note C. Let us go up a scale using sharps. D to D sharp, E to E sharp. Hey, E sharp is a white key? Yep, it is. F to F sharp, G to G sharp, A to A sharp, and B to B sharp, which is also a white key. This is a flat sign. This symbol is used in musical notation to lower the pitch of a note by a half step. Lowering the pitch E will make it an E flat. To play the note E flat, you play the black key to the left of the note E. Let us go down the scale using flats. D to D flat, C to C flat. C flat is a white key also. B to B flat, A to A flat, G to G flat, F to F flat, also a white key. As you have noticed, many notes have two names on the keyboard. Two notes that sound the same but are notated differently are said to be enharmonic equivalents. So this black key can be called a G sharp or an A flat depending on how it is notated on the staff. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. In the last video, you learned about the accidentals, sharps, and flats. The third accidental is the natural. A natural cancels a sharp or a flat. So here is an A flat. Here is an A with a natural in front of it. So instead of playing the black key, A flat, you now go to the white key, A. Here are a few rules with accidentals. Here is a B flat. The accidental is carried through for the entire measure. So the B flat and the F sharp is carried through the entire measure, even though there is not a flat in front of the second B. Here, the F sharp is canceled with an F natural. Bar lines can cancel accidentals too. So the B in the second measure is natural. Here is an E flat. This E is E natural. Accidentals only apply to the notes on that line or space. There are two more less common accidentals. They are the double sharp and the double flat. The double sharp raises a note a whole step, which are two half steps. So a F double sharp is also the note G natural. The double flat lowers a note a whole step. So a B double flat is also the note A natural. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. Duration is the amount of time a pitch is held. By playing pitches in a variety of durations, rhythm is created. Different durations are notated by different notes. Let us go through some. Here is a whole note. The half note has a stem added. The quarter note has the note head filled in. The eighth note has a flag added, and the 16th note has 2 flags added. How do these notes relate to each other? Let us use a pie. I like chocolate cream pie. So think of a whole note as a whole pie. Now there are 2 half notes in one whole note, just like there are 2 halves of one pie. There are 2 quarter notes in one half note, and 4 quarter notes make up one whole note, or in this case, one whole chocolate cream pie. There are 2 eighth notes in one quarter note, 4 eighth notes in one half note, 8 eighth notes in one chocolate cream pie. Whole note. And there are 2 16th notes in one eighth note, 4 16th notes in one quarter note, 8 16th notes in one half note, and 16 16th notes in one whole note, and one chocolate cream pie. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video. A rest is used when you do not want any pitches played. You want silence. The length of time you want the silence is notated with rests. Let us go through some. Here is a whole rest. The whole rest is placed below a staff line. Here is a half rest. The half rest is placed above a staff line. Here is the quarter rest. This is what a quarter rest looks like when it is engraved in printed music or in a notation program like Finale. This is hard to write by hand. So, to write it by hand, make a Z, then a C. Musicians will be able to read this handwritten quarter rest. Here is an eighth rest. It has a pseudo flag like an eighth note. The 16th rest has 2 flags like the 16th note. These rests relate to each other like the notes related to each other in the last video. So, here is a whole rest. So now there are 2 half rests in one whole rest. There are 2 quarter rests in one half rest, and 4 quarter rests make up one whole rest. There are 2 eighth rests in one quarter rest, 4 eighth rests in one half rest, 8 eighth rests in one whole rest. There are 2 16th rests in 1 8th rest, 4 16th rests in 1 quarter rest, 8 16th rests in 1 half rest, and 16 16th rests in 1 whole rest. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The tie. A tie is a curved line connecting 2 notes. When 2 notes of the same pitch are tied together, they are considered a single sound. The duration is the sum of both note values. So a quarter note tied to a quarter note will have the same duration as a half note. A half note tied to a half note will have the same duration as a whole note. The dot. Placed to the right of the note, the dot lengthens the duration of the note by half its value. So here is a dotted quarter. The dot is equal to half of the duration of a quarter note. That is equivalent to an eighth note. So the duration of a dotted quarter is a quarter note plus an eighth note. For the same duration, you can use a dotted quarter or a quarter note tied to an eighth note. Let us try another one. The duration of the dot on the dotted half note is a quarter note. Remember, it takes 2 quarter notes to make a half note. So the duration of a dotted half note could be written as a half note tied to a quarter note, or it could be written as 3 quarter notes tied together. They all have the same duration. The dot can also be used on a rest. So the dotted quarter rest is equal to using a quarter rest and an eighth rest. They both create the same duration of silence. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. A beat is a basic unit for measuring time. A meter is any reoccurring pattern of strong and weak beats. When the beats are stressed every 2 beats, it is called a duple meter. When the beats are stressed every 3 beats, it is called a triple meter. When the beats are stressed every 4 beats, it is called a quadruple meter. Meter is notated in music using a vertical line across the staff. This is called a bar line. A bar line is drawn between each group of beats in the measure. The music that is between the 2 bar lines is called a measure, which leads into the time signature. The bottom number of the time signature indicates what note will receive a beat. So, a 2 on the bottom of a time signature will mean that a half note will receive the beat. A 4 on the bottom of a time signature will mean that a quarter note will receive the beat. An 8 on the bottom of a time signature will mean that an eighth note will receive the beat. The top number of a time signature indicates how many of the bottom notes will be in one measure. So, this time signature is indicating that the quarter note will get the beat, and there will be notes equal to 4 quarter notes in each measure. This time signature is indicating that the eighth note will get the beat, and there will be notes equal to 6 eighth notes in each measure. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. When you divide beats into a group of 2, this is called simple meter. So a half of a beat is counted with and. So if we use this time signature, we will have 4 quarter notes in one measure. Because the quarter note receives the beat, the eighth note will receive a half a beat, and the half note will receive 2 beats. So this is how you would count this set of rhythms. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. So how would you count a 16th note in 4/4? Well, you would add an E and an between the beats like this. So this is how you would count this set of rhythms. 1, 2, and 3E and a 4, 1, 2E and a 3 and 4. So if we use this time signature, we will have 4 half notes in one measure. Because the half note receives the beat, the quarter note will now receive a half a beat, and the whole note will receive 2 beats. So this is how you would count this set of rhythms. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. So in 4/2, the eighth note is a quarter of a beat. So this is how you would count this set of rhythms. 1, 2, and 3E and a 4, 1, 2E and a 3, and 4. So if we use this time signature, we will have 4 eighth notes in one measure. Because the eighth note receives the beat, the 16th note will now receive a half a beat, and the quarter note will receive 2 beats. So this is how you would count this set of rhythms. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. When you divide the beat into a group of 3, this is called compound meter. Compound meters have time signatures with multiples of 3, such as 3, 6, 9, or 12 as the top number. If the tempo is slow, you can count the rhythms like you did with simple meter. As the tempo increases, we begin to feel the eighth notes as divisions of a beat, and a dotted quarter note begins to feel like the beat. This is what makes the meter compound. So if we use this time signature, we will have 6 eighth notes in one measure. The eighth note receives the beat, the 16th note will receive a half a beat, and the dotted quarter will receive 3 beats. In a slow tempo, this rhythm will feel like there are 6 beats in the measure, counting the rhythms like this: 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In a fast tempo, this rhythm will feel like there are 2 beats in the measure instead of 6. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Here is an example of how a compound meter rhythm slowly changes from the 8th note feeling like the beat to feeling like they are a division of a beat. Here it is in a slow tempo. You can hear the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little faster, we still feel the 8th notes having the beat. Now we are starting to feel as though the 8th notes might be subdivisions of a beat. Now we can feel the 8th notes as subdivisions of a beat, and the measure has a feeling of being in 2 instead of 6. This feeling of 2 is equivalent to a dotted quarter note. Now you can really feel the 8th notes as subdivisions of a beat, and the tempo is a bit too fast to count the 8th notes. You can really feel 2 beats to a measure at this tempo. This is what occurs in compound meter. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. To understand how pitches are organized in music, you have to know what pitches to use in a piece of music. If you organize the pitches in an ascending order, you will have what is called a scale. In this video, I explain how to make the most popular scale, which is the major scale. The major scale is one of the diatonic scales, which have one and only one note with each letter name. A major scale entails a series of half steps and whole steps. The pattern of a major scale is whole step, half step, then whole step, half step. Let us use C major. C major uses all of the white keys on the keyboard. A whole step from C is D, since there is a black key between the white keys. Whole step to E, half step F, since there is no black key between the white keys, then whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, and then half step to C to round out the scale and end the note we began. This pattern of whole steps and half steps in the major scale can be moved to any start note. Let us start on E. To have a whole step, we have to use F sharp. Another whole step brings us to G sharp. A half step is A natural. Now the next 3 whole steps are B natural, C sharp, and D sharp, and a half step which brings us back to E. Let us use a scale that uses flats, the G flat scale. Starting on G flat, the 2 whole steps are A flat and B flat. The half step has to be C flat, since a major scale can have one and only one note with each letter name. The 3 whole steps are D flat, E flat, and F. And the half step brings us back to G flat. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. To avoid having to write sharps or flats each time they occur in the composition, you can use a key signature. A key signature consists of one or more sharps or flats written in the beginning of each staff. The sharps or flats in the key signature apply to all of the notes with the same name. This makes the music easier to read because the accidentals do not have to be written in front of each note. So the F sharp in the key signature applies to all of the notes that are F, regardless of which octave the note F is located. The sharps and flats in the key signature are always written in the same order on the staff: F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. Here are two different phrases to help remember the order of sharps. Father Clem grows dill and eats beans. Another is Father Charles goes down and ends battle. The order of flats are the order of sharps in reverse order: B, E, A, D, G, C, and F. Here are two different phrases to help remember the order of flats. Battle ends and down goes Charles' father. Another phrase you can use for flats is bacon, eggs, and dill grilled chicken fries. To identify the name of a key signature of sharps, you can take the last sharp and go up a half step. So with this key signature, take the last sharp, which is a D sharp, and a half step up is the note E. So this key signature with 4 sharps is a key of E. So with this key signature, you take the last sharp, which is an E sharp, and the half step up is the note F sharp. So this key signature with 6 sharps is the key of F sharp. With a key signature with flats, take the second to the last flat, and that is the name of the key signature. In this case, is the key of D flat. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The circle of fifths is a convenient way to help memorize the key signatures and of major scales. The chart is organized with C major on the top. We then move clockwise for the sharp keys. The flat keys appear in order moving counterclockwise. You start with C and go up a fifth. So on the keyboard, begin with C as 1 and count up 5. So D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, and G is 5. So up a fifth from C is G. 5 up from G is D. And 5 up from D is A. So on the circle of fifths, go up a fifth from C to G to D to A. C major has 0 sharps. G major has 1 sharp in the key signature. D has 2, and A has 3 sharps in the key signature. We keep going up fifths to E, which has 4 sharps, B has 5, and F sharp has 6 sharps. On the other side of the circle, we go down a fifth for flats. So down the fifth from C is F. F major will have 1 flat. Down the fifth will be B flat, which has 2 flats. E flat will have 3 flats. A flat will have 4 flats. D flat will have 5 flats. And G flat will have 6 flats. Near the bottom of the circle, there are 3 keys that are enharmonic with each other. D flat major could also enharmonically be C sharp major, with 7 sharps. The key of G flat and F sharp are also enharmonic, with G flat major having 6 flats and F sharp major having 6 sharps. B major is also enharmonically C flat major with 7 flats. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The second most common scale is the minor scale. Just like the major scale, it has one and only one note with each letter name. Each minor scale has a relative major scale with the same sharps or flats. So E minor has one sharp, just like its relative major, which is G major. So how do you find a minor scale's relative major? You go up 3 half steps. So with E minor, you go up 3 half steps from the note E to the note G. G major has one sharp, which is the F sharp. So does E minor. Let us do a few more. D minor. Go up 3 half steps from the note D to the note F. So D minor is the relative minor of F major. F major has one flat, which is B flat. So D minor has a B flat. How about G sharp minor? Go up 3 half steps from the note G sharp to the note B. B major has 5 sharps. So add the sharps to G sharp minor. Remember the order of sharps? Remember to use one of the helpful phrases. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, which is already there, D sharp, and A sharp. Let us do one more. B flat minor. Go up 3 half steps to the note D flat. Why not C sharp? When you go up 3 half steps, you have to go up 3 letters also. D flat major has 5 flats. They are B, E, A, D, and G. So put them on the B flat minor scale. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. There are 3 types of minor scales. They are natural minor, harmonic minor, and melodic minor. The first type of minor scale is the natural minor scale. We talked about these scales in the last video. Here is F major. Let us find its relative minor. So with F major, you go down 3 half steps from the note F to the note D. F major has one flat, which is the B flat. So put B flat on the D minor scale. This is a D natural minor scale. The next minor scale is harmonic minor. With harmonic minor, you take a natural minor scale and raise the 7th note of the scale. So with A minor, the 7th note of the scale is the note G. Now raise it to G sharp. We have created the A harmonic minor scale. Let us do D minor. D minor has one flat, which is B flat. The 7th note of D minor is the note C. Now raise it to C sharp. Yes, you can have a sharp and a flat in the same scale. Now with B flat minor, the 7th note of the scale is A flat. So raise A flat to A natural. The last minor scale is melodic minor. With melodic minor, you take a natural minor scale and raise the 6th and 7th note of the scale. So with A minor, the 6th and 7th notes are the note F and the note G. So raise the note F to F sharp and the note G to G sharp. With F minor, the 6th and 7th notes of the scale are D flat and E flat. So raise the note D flat to D natural and E flat to E natural. With G sharp minor, the 6th and 7th notes of the scale are E and F sharp. So raise the note E to E sharp and the note F to F double sharp. Melodic minor is usually displayed as an ascending and descending scale. It is melodic minor ascending and natural minor descending. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The distance between any two notes is called an interval. Intervals are named by the number of diatonic notes, which are notes with different letter names that can be contained within them. So the whole step G to A contains only 2 diatonic notes, so this interval is called a second. The notes F to A contain 3 diatonic notes, F, G, and A, so this interval is called a third. Here are the intervals within an octave. The interval consisting of 2 notes of the same pitch is called unison. Other intervals are second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and octave, or eighth. Intervals are given a more specific second name depending on their quality. Here are 2 basic qualities of intervals. They are perfect intervals and major intervals. Major intervals are seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths. The perfect intervals are unison or P1, fourth, fifth, and octave or P8. A perfect interval will have the same accidental on both intervals, or both notes are natural. So if there is a sharp on the bottom interval, there has to be a sharp on the top interval to be a perfect interval. There is an exception to the rule. If the interval has the note B and the note F in it, then it only needs 1 accidental to make it a perfect interval. If there is no accidental, or both notes have an accidental, with the notes B and the notes F, then this interval is called a tritone. Depending on how it is spelled, it could be called an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. To write a major interval above any note, think of the bottom note being the first scale degree of a major scale, and write the correct scale degree 2, 3, 6, or 7 above that note. So you want to write a major third, and the bottom note is a D. 3 notes up is F, and in the key of D, there is an F sharp. So a major third from D is the note F sharp. Minor intervals are created from major intervals, so seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths can become minor intervals. To write a minor interval, first write a major interval. Let us use the major third we just created, and lower the top note down a half step. We now have an interval of a minor third. Let us create intervals from the note F. An interval of a sixth from the note F is the note D. In the key of F, there's only one flat, which is a B flat. Since D natural is in the key, F to D is a major sixth. To make it minor, lower the note D down a half step to D flat. So you have the interval E to D. It is an interval of a seventh. Is it a major or minor seventh? Is there a D natural in the key of E? The key of E has 4 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. So if this note D was sharp, then this would have been a major interval. Since it is not, and it is a half step below D sharp, then this interval is a minor seventh. I tend to use a minus sign instead of a lowercase m. It makes it easier to distinguish between upper and lowercase m when written by hand. Let us do an interval of a sixth from the note A. A sixth from the note A is F. In the key of A, there are 3 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So in the key of A, F is sharpened. So if we write an F sharp, then this interval is a major sixth. If we use F natural, then this interval is a minor sixth. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. The smallest unit of harmony is the chord. A chord is 3 or more notes sounding together. Although any combination of 3 or more notes can be a chord, the triad is a specific 3-note chord built in thirds. You have the root of the chord, the third, and the fifth. Chords are named by the note of the root. The most common triads have a perfect fifth between the root and the fifth. But the interval between the root and the third could either be major or minor. This is what makes a chord a major or a minor chord. The name of a major chord is indicated by a capital letter. The minor chord is indicated by adding a lowercase m to the letter name of the chord. Let us make a D major chord. Write 2 notes a third away from each other, starting on the note D. So that would be the notes F and A. The fifth is already a perfect fifth. If you remember from the intervals video, a perfect fifth has the same accidental on both notes, or both notes are natural. Here, both notes are natural, so this is a perfect fifth. To write a major third, think of the root being the first scale degree of a major scale. In the key of D, there is an F sharp. So a major third from D is the note F sharp. Now we have a D major chord. How do we make it a minor chord? Lower the third a half step. So lower the note F sharp to the note F natural. Now we have a D minor chord. Let us make an E flat minor chord. Write 2 notes a third away from each other, so that is the notes G and B. First make the chord major. To have a perfect fifth, make the B natural a B flat, then check the third. In the key of E flat, there is a note G natural. To make this a minor chord, lower the note G natural to G flat. Let us make one more. G flat minor. Write G flat, B, and D. Make D natural D flat to make it a perfect fifth. In G flat, there is a B flat. To make this chord minor, lower the B flat to a B double flat. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. In the last video, we talked about major and minor chords. In this video, we will talk about diminished and augmented chords. You can create these chords by knowing the major chord. You will eventually learn all 4 types of triads and will not need to refer to the major chord. Let us start with a C major chord. To create a minor chord, lower the third a half step, so lower the note E natural to E flat. To create a diminished chord, you lower the fifth a half step, so lower the note G natural to G flat. This creates a diminished fifth in the chord. The diminished chord is indicated by adding a dim or a small circle to the letter name of the chord. Back to the major chord. To create an augmented chord, raise the fifth up a half step, so raise the note G natural to G sharp. This creates an augmented chord. The augmented chord is indicated by an AUG or a plus sign to the letter name of the chord. Let us make an F diminished chord. Stack the thirds above F, so that would be the notes A and C. In the key of F, there is only a B flat, so this chord is F major. To make this a diminished chord, lower the third and fifth a half step, so lower the note A natural to an A flat, and lower the note C natural to a C flat. Now we have an F diminished chord. Let us make another one. An E flat diminished chord. Stack the thirds above E flat, so that would be the notes G and B. In the key of E flat, there is a B flat and a G natural, so this chord is E flat major. So to make this a diminished chord, lower the third and fifth a half step, so lower the note G natural to a G flat, and lower the note B flat to a B double flat. Now we have an E flat diminished chord. Let us make a D augmented chord. Stack the thirds above D, so that would be the notes F and A. In the key of D, there are 2 sharps, an F sharp and a C sharp, so this chord is D major. To make this an augmented chord, raise the fifth up a half step, so raise the note A natural to A sharp. Now we have a D augmented chord. Let us make one more, a B flat augmented chord. Stack the thirds above B flat, so that would be the notes D and F. In the key of B flat, there are 2 flats, a B flat and an E flat, so this chord is B flat major. To make this an augmented chord, raise the fifth a half step, so raise the note F natural to F sharp. Now we have a B flat augmented chord. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. A major 7th chord is formed by adding another third above the fifth of the chord. There are 5 different 7th chords: major, dominant, minor, half diminished, and full diminished. A major 7th chord has a major triad and an interval of a major 7th above the root. To make it a dominant 7th chord, lower the 7th a half step. To make it a minor 7th chord, lower the 3rd and the 7th a half step. To make it a half diminished 7th chord, lower the 3rd, 5th, and 7th a half step. To make it a full diminished 7th chord, lower the 3rd and the 5th a half step, and the 7th a whole step. Let us start with a C major 7th chord. The notes C, E, and G make a C major triad, and the note B is a major 7th above the note C. To make it a C dominant 7th chord, lower the 7th from the note B natural to the note B flat. To make it a C minor 7th, lower the 3rd from the note E natural to the note E flat. To make it a C half diminished 7th, lower the 5th from the note G natural to the note G flat. To make it a C full diminished 7th, lower the note B flat to the note B double flat. Let us make a G full diminished chord. Start with a major triad using note G, B, and D, and a major 7th above the root, which is the note F sharp. Lowering the 7th a half step from the note F sharp to F natural would make this a G dominant 7th chord. Lowering a 3rd a half step from the note B natural to B flat would make this a G minor 7th chord. Lowering the 5th of the note D natural to the note D flat would make this a G half diminished 7th chord. Lowering the 7th from the note F natural to the note F flat would make this a G full diminished 7th chord. Let us make an E full diminished 7th chord. Make an E major triad with the notes E, G sharp, and B, and the major 7th above the root with the note D sharp. To make it a dominant 7th chord, lower the 7th from the note D sharp to D natural. To make it a minor 7th chord, lower the 3rd from the note G sharp to G natural. To make it a half diminished 7th chord, lower the 5th of the note B natural to B flat. To make it a full diminished 7th chord, lower the 7th from the note D natural to D flat. Let us do one more, a F full diminished 7th chord. Make an F major triad with the notes F, A, and C, and a major 7th above the root with the note E. To make it a dominant 7th chord, lower the 7th from the note E natural to E flat. To make it a minor 7th chord, lower the 3rd from the note A natural to A flat. To make it a half diminished 7th chord, lower the 5th from the note C natural to C flat. To make it a full diminished chord, lower the 7th from the note E flat to E double flat. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. Inverting a chord is not simply rearranging the notes of the chord. This chord is still in root position because the root of the chord is the lowest note. In an inverted chord, the root is not the lowest note. To make this chord into a first inversion, move the root up an octave, making the 3rd of the chord the lowest note. This chord will still be in first inversion as long as the 3rd of the chord is the lowest note, even when we move or double the notes in the chord. To make this chord into a second inversion, move the 3rd of the chord up an octave, making the 5th of the chord the lowest note. Inversions are notated using numbers called fingered bass. The numbers indicate the number of scale steps above the bass note of the chord. In the first inversion of the chord, the intervals above the bass are a 6th and a 3rd. The first inversion is notated by just using the number 6. In the second inversion, the intervals above the bass note are a 6th and a 4th. The second inversion is notated by using the numbers 6 and a 4. An often used notation for chord inversions in jazz, pop, and rock is to write the name of the chord followed by a / and then the name of the bass note. The chord symbol F/A would be a first inversion F major chord, with the note A being the lowest note. For 7th chords, there are 3 inversions. Let us start with the C dominant 7th chord in root position. To make this chord into a first inversion, move the root up an octave, making the 3rd of the chord the lowest note. The intervals above the bass are a 6th, a 5th, and a 3rd. The first inversion of the 7th chord is notated by just using the numbers 6 and 5. To make this chord into a second inversion, move the 3rd up an octave, making the 5th of the chord the lowest note. The intervals above the bass are a 6th, a 4th, and a 3rd. The second inversion of a 7th chord is notated by just using the numbers 4 and 3. To make this chord into a third inversion, move the 5th up an octave, making the 7th of the chord the lowest note. The intervals above the bass are a 6th, a 4th, and a 2nd. The third inversion of a 7th chord is just notated by using the number 2. And here is what you have learned today. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video. If you liked the video, please hit like. If you would like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel. You can also leave a comment or a question in the comment section below.